What a crazy world we live in. Why don't we have some crazy talk about it? How's that? Let's get going. So we are some lucky son of a bitches. You don't believe me? Most of us can agree that the universe started in a point, that space and time arrived, and some of the first things that developed were stars. And the stars had to go through a lifespan and supernova explode and recoalesce into more stars that repeated the process. And it's believed that it had to happen at least 3 times before the stuff that makes us comes out. By the stuff that makes us, I'm talking about the heavy particles like iron and the stuff that makes planets. So, at some point, you were a star and you were dirt. And this stuff that you're made of has been recycled through eons for a long, long time. We think that the universe is like 13 billion years or something. I don't get these numbers good. I think of concepts and not particulars. So, we were stars, we were iron. By the way, the blood in the redness of your blood is the iron that came from the star. Everything that makes up our planet came from the star. You came from the planet. Everything that makes up your body came from the star, came from the planet, and has been recycled until you find yourself where you are. So it's all probability, not only were you stars, not only were you dirt, but you were single-celled organisms, multi-celled organisms, probably plants and bugs and dinosaurs and the whole gamut of life. And now you've arrived at this point. Oh, the wind's picking up. And you are having an experience. The fact that you're having this experience means you have won the lottery. What more could there be than having this experience? Because if you don't have an experience at all, what's the point? Nothing happens. You have to have an experience. I believe that this experience is the consciousness that was in the beginning, and you are reconnecting to that consciousness. If that makes any sense at all. So now that we're here and we're having this experience, wouldn't it be nice to have enough understanding of the processes that got you here, the processes that are ongoing, that are leading to wherever you're going? If you don't have that understanding, you haven't evolved any more than when you were the dirt. You've got to understand that you're having this experience and that it is something that is significant. So why should we try to understand anything about where we come from? Why do we have all these big questions that seem to have no answers. It's because we are explorers. We are explorers. The human race are explorers. And you don't have to just explore the terra firma or outer space. There is a whole nother reality inside your mind, and it's worth exploring. And why is that important? Because it's going to affect how you see the world. It's going to affect how you live your life. It's going to affect how you die. I've gone over some of the things about your senses. I probably haven't, gone deep enough into them. But the bottom line is your senses are just telling you a story that you interpret to be able to get through this world physically. Think about this for a second. I hear all the time, live in this moment. This moment is all you have. The future hadn't got here and the past is behind you. I say you cannot be in this time right now. Think about this for a minute. You are living in your memory. By the time events happen around you, no matter how small of time it has passed, time has passed, and by the time it gets to your consciousness, where you examine it, it's gone. That moment has passed, and you're in a new moment that you only have the memory of what happened. I hope that makes some kind of sense. We are the person we believe ourselves to be, and we are acting out that role. We are actors in our own reality. Back to the quantum world for a second. So, we know if we look at some material object, some piece of matter, we can use instruments to observe that wavelength smaller and smaller until we can observe an atom. We can smash that atom, and with delicate instruments, we can observe that there are particles inside that atom. And we can go all the way down to an up quark, and a down quark, an electron. Those seem to be the basis of matter. I go further because I say those up and down quarks are part of one wave of energy. That wave of energy, it fractals. That's the only way I can explain it. And the world is full of fractals everywhere. You look at your blood veins, and they look real similar to the way the veins on a leaf are laid out, and the way the branches of the tree are laid out, and you expand out further, it looks a lot like the way the rivers are laid out. And these fractals are observed everywhere in space and time. And I believe that an energy had a thought, a desire, and that desire was a disturbance in a field of energy that tangled itself up into matter, and space-time itself came out of it. In other words, there was nothing. There was no time. There was no physical matter. There was only an energy, and that energy was a consciousness. That consciousness had a desire, and that desire was what we observe as the Big Bang. Let me think about this for just 1 second here. I'm probably going to cut the film right here and then continue, because I want to think out loud about our observations. When we look out at the universe, beyond the solar system, we can observe, I think it is 64 billion years ago in space. And our estimates on when the Big Bang happened are 13 billion, I believe. And that seems to not make any sense, because how can we see further than existence? And that's because our universe is expanding faster than the speed of light. There's a lot of cool videos on physics on how this can be thought about. But let's, and I encourage everybody. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think, but what I would say is everybody find some little parcel of what I'm saying and go look it up for yourself and try to make sense of it. So let's go back to that living in our memory. We are standing here on the solid earth, standing completely still. But the earth is spinning, I think, 1,000 miles an hour. And it is shooting around the star, the sun, at, I don't even know the number, fast. So we are corkscrewing around the sun while spinning faster and faster. Well, it's pretty stable, but we're spinning real fast. We're shooting around the sun. We're chasing the sun as the sun is spinning around the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. The galaxy itself is shooting through space at speeds faster than we can measure, faster than the speed of light. How can we be anything but in the past? How can we be anything but a memory of what's already happened? So one of our biggest problems in conceiving all this stuff is we believe we're pretty damn smart. We think that we know a whole lot more than we do know. And that can get us into a lot of trouble. But just the sheer fact, I should say, understanding that there is a lot of room for error in our thoughts. That realization will open the doorway to your imagination, because that's all we have. For the first time in our history, we have the ability with our cell phone to tap into all the knowledge of every human being that's ever documented their thoughts. That's extremely powerful. We're wasting it. We're wasting this godlike power of condensing all of humanity's brilliance playing Candy Crush. You know what I mean? I don't know if you'd play Candy Crush. I don't, but anyway, wouldn't wouldn't it be wouldn't it be more productive to use this powerful device to research and to find answers to the big questions? Why are we here? What are we made of? Were we created? Were we an accident? I think you can find those answers. They may not be the same answers for everyone. They probably aren't even the complete correct answers, which, by the way, nothing is, Science is cool, and it tries to answer questions that are big, provocative, somewhat. That's another story. But their biggest job is to create an idea, get it out there, let the other scientists swarm into action and try to disprove them. If they can disprove them, it fizzles. Maybe they'll reignite it later in their life or keep working on it or whatever. But if other scientists don't disprove it, well, then it can be written up. It's so-called peer-reviewed. They can write it up right now. Seems like Nature is the biggest publication, the most respected. So science is always trying to disprove the other guy. What normally happens is portions of things are accepted and then experimentally proved, but they're always not complete. There's a thing called Gödel's incompleteness theory, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you're interested in that, but anyway, Gödel is saying that math, in particular, is always incomplete. It's like, if you were to split a piece of matter and you got two pieces, and then you could split that, and those now have two pieces. Theoretically, you can always split that thing into something else. Theoretically. So science is always incomplete. And your answers are going to be incomplete. But you can get enough answers to be really fulfilling. Maybe I should leave it at that. Anyway, man, I appreciate you guys checking this out. I know that I don't have a big following, but I do appreciate it, and I wish you guys would venture out on a stick and comment about what my thoughts and how they relate to you. And are you gonna find anything to research yourself? Are you looking for answers? Are you okay with going through life blind? And at some point you've got to think about things. I guarantee you, if you get a terminal diagnosis, you're going to think about things. Why not start now?